Hello, my name is Tim Hughes. Today I'm going to talk about the prospects for 2026, whether it's going to be a great year or the year of the yawn. Already, I think we can see it's going to be a very important year. Geopolitically, we're already seeing some very significant changes in the international environment. President Donald Trump appears to be tearing up the rule book with respect to international relations, foreign policy, strategic alignment, multilateralism. His unilateral actions and threats against NATO countries, the EU, his actions in Venezuela, his threats even against South Africa, demonstrate that he's not particularly concerned with the multilateral order, the international order established after the Second World War. That has propelled other countries, allies and opponents, to reconfigure their international relations. Europe is having to rethink its own identity. NATO is rethinking its identity. But this also gives opportunities to countries like China and Russia to rethink the international order and possibly exploit this change of international relations. It makes a resolution in Ukraine very much more difficult despite the discussions and the negotiations that are ongoing. It allows China to flex its muscles, not just economically, but potentially militarily in the East. So we're in for a very significant year this year in terms of international relations and foreign policy. And South Africa doesn't fall outside of that purview. South Africa is going to be buffeted, or has been buffeted, by the United States, by its disenchantment with South Africa. The recent debacle regarding Iran's participation in the BRICS naval exercise is another case in point. Even South Africa's continued participation in AGOA is still under threat, and our relations with the United States are simply not good. And yet we haven't, as it were, pivoted our international relations towards other countries as well. So it's going to be a challenging year for South Africa in terms of international relations. Looking at South Africa again more locally, this year we have the budget coming up in February, preceded by the State of the Nation address or the opening of Parliament, all in February if the budget is then passed at that time, or at least read at that time. And throughout this year, we'll be preparing for local government elections, which could be held in 2026. Why is this important? Well, it's important for two reasons in South Africa. The first is that it could be a challenge, a major challenge to the government of national unity. Think about it. How can you have a government of national unity with 10 parties all competing against each other in local government elections throughout the country? So it's going to be a very significant test of the GNU. That's the first point. The second point is that I think that politics in South Africa is going to be led by the local level. In other words, local will become not just lekker, but local government politics will determine, I think, the future of the African National Congress, to some degree the DA, to some degree the GNU. But in fact, I think local government elections are going to be a precursor of what's going to happen in the 2029 national elections, the general elections. So we need to keep our eye on that very, very closely indeed. Without predicting what's going to happen with the markets, it looks like, despite the geopolitical tensions, all the forecasts are that we could still have robust economic growth this year. The fundamentals look fairly good. Interest rates are coming down. Inflation is generally under control. Even in South Africa, we're lowering our inflation rate target as well. So the fundamentals look particularly good. Of course, this could be challenged by at least two things. A major disruption in terms of geopolitics, the outbreak of war, or say the interdiction of oil, for example, that would be a serious issue. I think another thing that people are keeping a very close eye on is what happens in the AI space. Is this AI growth a bubble? Is it sustainable? Who's going to benefit from it? Are we investing too much? Are we investing the right money? Are we borrowing too much? Who's going to apply AI successfully? And that's going to become, I think, clearer in 2026 too. Closer to home, and to wrap up in terms of South Africa, we've been the beneficiaries, of course, of the tremendous run in resources, particularly gold, platinum and other resources as well. And while there is geopolitical instability, it is quite possible that the high price of these commodities will continue throughout 2026, which is, of course, beneficial to our economy in terms of revenue. And it may well help the fiscus as well, which may lead to budget stability. So overall, as much as it's going to be an eventful 2026, I'm fairly cautiously optimistic it'll be a very positive 2026. And we'll update with you from time to time on these videos. Thank you for watching.